Good day everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the Annex VI, the regulation for the prevention of air pollution from ships. Now before going ahead, let us understand what is air pollution in ship. Air pollution from ship, also known as vessel source pollution, occurs primarily due to the burning of heavy fuel oil which release pollutants like sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, particulate matter, volatile organic compounds. So what is Annex VI? MARPOL Annex VI, which entered into force in 19th of May 2005, is the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. Regulation for the preventing air pollution from ships, focusing on limiting emissions like sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxide, particulate matter, and prohibiting ozone-depleting substances. So here are some of the effects of the emissions. First is the acid rain, human health, and ozone depletion. So let's discuss the nitrogen oxide. NOx or nitrogenous oxide includes nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and other oxides of nitrogen. The major source of NOx emissions are high temperature combustion process. These nitrogenous oxides contributes to the formation of acid rain. So let us see to which ships NOx regulation applies to. Each marine diesel engine with a power output of more than 130 kilowatts installed on a ship. Each marine diesel engine with power output of more than 130 kilowatts which undergoes a major conversion on or after 1st of January 2000. Next thing is the NOx emission control area. First is the North American Emission Control Area, the United States Caribbean Sea Emission Control Area, the Baltic Sea Emission Control Area, the North Sea Emission Control Area. This is the table for the NOx emission limits. This table is divided into 3 tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, as per the construction date of the ship, and the NOx emission limits are given in gram per kilowatt hour. The N stands for the engine RPM. Now, first look at Tier 1. Tier 1 applies to ships construction on or after 1st of January 2000. When engine RPM is less than 130, the NOx emission limit is 17 gram per kilowatt hour. When engine RPM is between 130 to 1999, then the emission limit is 45 N to the power of minus 0.2. And when the engine RPM is above 2,000 or more, the emission limit is 9.8 gram per kilowatt hour. Likewise on Tier 2. Tier 2 applies to ship construction on or after 1st of January 2011. When the engine RPM is less than 130, the NOx emission limit is 14.4 gram per kilowatt hour. When engine RPM is between 130 to 1999, then the emission limit is 44 N to the power of minus 0.23. And when the engine RPM is above 2,000 or more, the emission limit is 7.7 gram per kilowatt hour. Tier 3 applies to ship construction on or after 1st of January 2016. When engine RPM is less than 130, the NOx emission limit is 3.4 gram per kilowatt hour. When engine RPM is between 130 to 1999, then the emission limit is 9 to the power of minus 0.2, and when the engine RPM is above 2,000 or more, the emission limit is 2.0 gram per kilowatt hour. Next up is SOx or sulfur oxide. Sulfur oxide gases are formed when fuel containing sulfur is burned. The main sulfur oxide gas is colorless, non-flammable gas with the penetrating odor that irritates the eyes and lungs function. The SOx and particulate matter emissions control applies to all fuel oils, combustion equipments which are present on board, including your main engine, auxiliary engines, together with boilers as well as inert gas generators. Now let us look at the SOx emission limits. The left column is for ships outside in emission control area, and for the right column is for ships which is inside emission control area. So first, let us look at the left part. When the ship is outside in ECA before 1st of January 2012, the sulfur emission limits were 4.50% mass per mass. After 1st of January 2012, these limits were reduced to 3.50% mass per mass. And after 1st of January 2020, these limits were reduced to 0.50% mass per mass. Now let us look at the right part when the ship is inside in NECA. Before 1st of July 2010, the sulfur emission limits were 1.50% mass per mass. After 1st of July 2010, these limits were reduced to 1.0% mass per mass. and after 1st of January 2015, these limits were reduced to 0.10% mass per mass. So there are commonly two ways by which ships reduce their SOx emissions to comply with these set regulations. First is changing of fuel. Before entering SOx emissions control area, ships change their fuel oil which they are presently using a low sulfur fuel oil to comply with the emission limits in an ECA. Another way to reduce sulfur emissions is the exhaust gas cleaning system, or commonly known as the scrubber. The exhaust gas cleaning system cleans the exhaust gases reduced after combustion of fuel and therefore reduce the sulfur content inert. Now moving on to IAPPC, the International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. All ships of 400 gross tonnage and above, every fixed or floating platform and drilling rig shall be issued with an International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. So that's all for our video. Thanks for watching.